Hello, and thanks for joining us today. Today we are joined by Ashu Vermani, who's the VP of Products and Go-to-Market at Comverse, to talk a bit about what Comverse is doing in the telecom space in regards to the various technologies like RCS, WebRTC, VoLTE, Voice over Wi-Fi, all those great acronyms. Hey, Ashu, thanks again for joining us today. We appreciate it.
And thank you, Dan. To step back a little at a macro level, one of the things we're really doing is helping CSPs transform into DSPs. And let me explain that. It's really about CSPs or communication services providers being boxed into just being the provider of communication services. And we think that in the next wave where it's all IP, it's all digital, there is a possibility and a potential for them to do a whole lot more. And they could be offering digital services and us as a leader in the first, second, and third wave of voice messaging and data related solutions, we think we can anchor them and help them move to the DSP wave or the fourth wave of solutions. RCS, WebRTC, VoLTE, these are all technologies that help the move from A to B. But at a macro level, that's who we are. That's who we are all about.
Yeah. Now, I know I've talked a bit about with you guys a bit about this the fourth wave, I guess, revolution really for operators. And again, like you said, these are just kind of technologies to kind of help them along the way. I guess, can you describe a bit more about this kind of move and how these technologies and what you guys are providing to the market can really help these operators make that next jump to kind of just being not just being these legacy providers, but really kind of tapping into the digital world really and offering these new services to customers?
Yes. So here is a good way to understand. If you go back, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a lot of the I would say the end product coming out of the CSPs was really communications. And I think it was a very big deal, and it still is a big deal to be able to have you and me talk to each other like we're doing today. The ability to do voice call, the ability to do SMS, something that is universally adopted, in 5, 6, 7 billion people, right? So, and communication was the end all be all. That's the end product. And as we move forward to today, the nature of what the consumers want is changing because the value derived from providing just communication is diminishing. The value is more in the higher order things you could build on top of communication. So if I can use communication to help you monitor, let's say, your elderly parents living in Arizona or Florida, and provide you with a sort of a health monitoring solution or a non-intrusive way to increase the quality of life of baby boomers and their parents living far away, to me that is a vertically integrated solution that has elements of communication built in. It's just an example. Another example is, as I've said earlier, Nest and Mercedes, when they're partnering, the intent behind it is for the car to be able to message to the home that the driver is about to come home, and maybe based on certain preferences, turn on the porch lights, raise the temperature, turn the oven on, do a variety of things. You're getting into home automation. So the end user is buying these in vertically sliced solutions that are tightly integrated. And that's the fourth wave. It's not just about communication, it's what you can do with communication is what makes it very interesting. So home alarm, opening your door remotely from the phone. We already know how to do this with cars with OnStar and stuff, but the ability to take that to the next level. So this, according to Gartner, is about $1.5 trillion market on an annual basis in 2017, and it'll grow from that point on. And what we are doing is helping CSPs being part of the value chain. Otherwise, they're just being pipes, and somebody else is building those solutions and monetizing the next layer of revenue.
Yeah. And obviously that's been a big challenge for operators for years. Has always been trying to avoid being this dumb pipe out there and actually taking advantage of what they have in their network, the resources, their insight into their network, and actually taking advantage of that and offering services that consumers maybe don't know that they want, but when they realize what they are, like, wow, that's something actually pretty useful to me. As you look at these operators today, I mean, are you seeing a lot of adoption, a lot of uptake from them, interest from them in kind of these new services? And how do you work with them in providing them with these platforms to actually take advantage of what they have already in their networks using new technologies?
So we see operators falling into natural three buckets.
Okay.
There is a set of operators that will basically say, listen, I will be the best pipe there that is, and that is my business model, and I'm going to develop scale. And there is a next set of operators who think that they will, Free would be an example, in France would be an operator that basically just wants to do that. Is a vanilla operator, and being the best pipe, and let anybody else monetize on it. The next level would be operators that think that they can be enablers for these services, but not necessarily have to have their own portfolio
Mm-hmm.
of fourth wave services. They will do the first, second, and third wave, the voice messaging, basic connectivity, and basic communication. But they will open up the APIs into their network, allow a whole pool of developers to build on top of their network, and be able to do 70-30 or some kind of revenue split where they have opened up their iTunes store. Others can innovate and they get to get a share of it because they're monetizing those applications. The third set of operators, probably the most advanced in their thinking, and there are a few of them, who actually have internal divisions created to think about fourth wave solutions and real heavy investment into taking market ownership of those solutions. So at this point, in broad categories, you can see Verizon pretty much buying out businesses in connected car. If you see, AT&T working in the fourth wave with home automation, the whole, what is it, M Life
Yep.
or
Yep. In life, yeah.
but they're really thinking about transforming themselves and not just offering communication products, but home security, home automation. So they're creating big divisions, and these are billion-dollar investments
Yeah.
into these waves. China Mobile, for example, Telefonica. In fact, some of these operators like China Mobile, they've actually said we are going to begin to report our earnings or report our businesses on these segments. So they're almost thinking of fourth wave as a next segment in which they'll do business. So you see, they will fall into a spectrum of ranges, from the ones that don't want to do a whole lot,
Yeah.
and just monetize the network and optimize it, to ones that are actually thinking of creating business units chasing this market.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, I guess when you go to a carrier or partner with a carrier on some of these platforms, when you go into their offices and start talking, I guess what do you kind of lay out to them as, hey, this is why you should go this way. This is what we can provide. Here's the potential return on all of these types of investment. As you go in there, what do you guys kind of lay out for these operators?
So at a very basic level, I think everybody understands the basic value prop. They understand that, hey, we are bleeding revenue to the OTTs. They understand that they are not getting the value of turning up this whole data network to the level that they could.
Mm-hmm.
We're also facing this time compression, because when you think about voice and messaging, these waves were long. They were like 22 decades long,
Yeah.
and they probably will be another decade long. And when you think of data, in about a year and a half or 18 months, the price of data in terms of dollars and megabit, the dollars per bit, that seems to have fallen because of intense competition. And the 10 gig plan for the same price, now you can get 20 gig plan, you can get unlimited, you can connect 5 devices to it. So the prices are falling, and this has taken billions and trillions of dollars to set up the whole 4G network. And the operators are realizing that because of this time compression, the fruits of this, unless they innovate, they're not gonna. So I think they're resonating with the fact that just staying and providing a bit pipe is not going to be the answer. So they're very interested. Their next question is, how do I transform myself from being a CSP to a DSP? So the what part, I think there is no dispute.
It's the how, and that's why I guess where you guys come into the market, because like you're saying, it is a very much more compressed market nowadays. I mean, operators are so focused probably on themselves, just on the competitive environment out there, that being able to actually transform their internal operations with these new value propositions is such a challenge for them. And because again, they're so focused on everything else that it seems like being able to partner with somebody who has some experience with this seems like it's a better way to go, especially again with this time compression, because they don't have a lot of time to make these huge, long, drawn-out decisions. I mean, operators are generally very conservative, and decision-making processes are very long for them. So to have someone who come in there and can say, hey, you need to make moves now, and this is how we can do it, seems like that's a pretty compelling value proposition for them right now.
It is for them, and operators are very good at creating services that are very universal. They have 80-90% adoption, and they know how to do it well and with good quality. I think where they struggle with is a service that may only hit 3% market, or a 5% or a 10% penetration. And the fact that these services will not live for very long. Some of them may be a 3-year fad, others may be 6-month fad. But nonetheless, they're important because they can create a lot of, I mean, think of stickers on Lime as an example. I mean, it has created hundreds of millions of dollars, right? But you think it's a fad. Maybe this fad will go away 2 years from now. Maybe it won't, because there's a next generation of tweens and teens that'll get into the market and be able to monetize or create revenue. So the operators, what they need is they need a platform that first of all helps them take cost out of their legacy environment.
Yeah.
And the first step for them is simplification of their current network assets. Because if they're running at the same OpEx, they need to be able to take money out to invest in the future. And with our traditional solutions, we help them simplify that. And this is something we have been doing for a lot of the operators that have many properties. They may have a multi-vendor solution. We're collapsing them into a cloud-based solution and allowing them to do it on a capacity basis. One of the fears of operators is, do I invest into this because if it's not strategic to me, if the consumption of, let's say text messages or multimedia messages is going to go down, can I get into a platform that allows me to actually decrease my investment over time and therefore invest in something else? And then that's what this offers them. It's the simplification, it's the cloud version of their platforms that allows them to actually take it down over time. Next step comes in modernization, where we say, listen, do not only think about the SIMs or the subscriptions you've sold. You got to think about the digital life of your consumers and the fact that they have a ton of other devices that are IP addressable, and you need to make sure your services are universally available on all of them. So if I delete a message or a text or a voicemail from one device, it universally appears on 5 other devices that the same user may use. So the notion of a user's identity is also, it's a merger of your MSISDN or your phone number and your IP-based identity, whether it's an email or whether it's another token to identify you. So you modernize it to IP endpoints as well. The next step is to be able to create new experiences which are purely digital and they work on IP, but there is a bridge to legacy. So if you're talking A and B party, and take RCS as an example, if we simply focused on RCS users talking to RCS users, we're doing nothing more than create another island for our customers. So why is it better than a WhatsApp or a Skype or a Viber? Well, it's better because it allows a bridge to legacy. So if you're talking to a B party that doesn't have anything, at least you can downgrade it and use traditional technology to reach those. And then the fourth step is allowing monetization, which could come through monetizing enterprises who may want to reach those consumers through big data analytics, because the operators have a ton of that information that they're not really leveraging. And the ability to open up an API, because the network is really a very big asset for these operators. If they can allow others to innovate, they don't have to internally restructure themselves to become this developer community where they can crank out these new applications and see what works in the market. They should be able to allow others to be able to innovate. And if you look at the hackathons and the API forums that AT&T, others are doing, they are beginning to get the hang of it. So I think they are on this journey already, and our value proposition helps them take the 3-4 steps required to go from A to B.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Those steps, when you hear them kind of explain them like that, you do kind of notice where these operators are. And again, those last couple of steps, the monetization part of it, that's a huge part of this, because again, at the end of the day, if there's no money coming in from these, that's when operators get a little nervous. So it seems like you guys are able to provide that platform for those important parts of this, not just the monetization, but also the enhanced services and things like that as well. It seems like that's all part of the process to really make sure that at the end of the day, consumers are using services that they like, they're paying for them, and they're helping the operators generate revenues and kind of reverse that kind of that outflow of revenues that they're seeing with apps and stuff like that too.
Agreed. And these days you have technology that allows the creation of those services at a way lower cost point than it would have been. So if 5 years ago you and I were having this conversation, we probably would have had the right vision, but we wouldn't know how to implement the third and fourth steps. Now with WebRTC and voice over Wi-Fi, there are ways and means to get those things done.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Interesting. Well, definitely, it's great to get to catch up with you on some of these insights, what's going on with Comverse, and hopefully we can again talk soon on the topic. We definitely appreciate the time today.
Hey, Dan, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and talk to you soon.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks.